Hey everyone, Ryan Young, Jiu-Jitsu. I hope you're doing well. So right now, we're looking at the beginning of 2024. Right now, as I'm walking and talking, it is January 5th, 2024. And I'm walking in Grapevine, Texas. Car's in the shop right now, getting a catalytic converter repaired. Those are pieces of crap, by the way. And they're expensive AF, right? I don't want to say the term. So I'm just over at a muffler shop getting it done. I thought I'd just go for a walk and talk to you guys. Do a little walk and talk, right? So Grapevine, Texas is where I'm at. And for those of you who are not from here, Grapevine, Texas is one of the oldest towns in Dallas-Fort Worth. And it's right next to DFW Airport. And it's been around since probably like the 1840s. Back when Texas was still its own republic, before Texas decided to join the United States by treaty, which, a little bit of Texas history, from what I understand, Texas is the only state to join the United States by treaty, because we were, like Hawaii actually, Hawaii was its own country as well before it became part of the Union. But Hawaii, which is my hometown or my home state, where I was born and raised, Hawaii was conquered, really. It was taken over by the United States government at the behest of the pineapple and sugarcane landowners. Whereas with Texas, we had gotten our independence from Mexico, and I don't know how long it took, because there were a lot of Americans that were in Texaco, you know, not Texaco, Mexico. There were a lot of Mexicans, well, let's back up, Karma. There were a lot of Americans in Mexico, which, you know, Mexico was huge before. You know, what we see as Mexico today, Mexico actually extended up all the way up the west coast of the United States and up north into Texas and probably Oklahoma and, you know, what is Colorado and all those. A lot of those modern U.S. states were once part of Mexico. Texas was actually much bigger as well, because when it gained independence, I think it was from the Rio Grande River up. Texas got its independence and then became its own republic, and then for whatever reason chose to join the United States. And you know, the rest is history. So, you know, a little bit of history lesson while I'm walking through Grapevine, Texas. You know, another thing that we have here in Texas and all throughout the South are these things, which are water towers. And what they do is, you know, they provide pressure to the water system in the town by pushing down. And, you know, if you ever wonder where, when you open your faucet, water just flows through, it's because of pressure. So this helps contribute to it. I never saw too many of them in California. I don't even think I saw any. But, you know, when I drive across the South to visit a bunch of you guys while I'm driving, I see them all throughout the South. They could be in other parts of the country as well, but I just tend to notice them in the South. Anyway, so what we're working on right now, got a guy stopping right by me. I don't know what he's looking for. So anyway, Grapevine, very old town, one of the oldest towns in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. It's a city, actually, technically, small city. So I'm just kind of walking around talking to you guys now. The New Year, right? A lot of people like to do resolutions, and I've mentioned in other videos that I don't do them personally, only because my thing is, if I want to make a change in my life, why don't I just do it right now? Why am I going to wait until the new year? So a lot of you guys are using the new year as an excuse. Okay, I've always wanted to do jiu-jitsu, so when the new year comes, I'm going to do it. Well, the new year's here, so if you've made that resolution, turn it into an action, right? Instead of just a wish, actually, you know, get off your butt and go visit your local jiu-jitsu school, or if you're local to us, come visit us here at Jiu-Jitsu in Orange County, California, or in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, and get started on this new journey that your life will be going through. So once you make that decision, then go ahead and do it and just get started on it. Don't wait, okay? So that's if you've been wanting to do jiu-jitsu but just haven't gotten around to it, now's the time to do it. And you know, it's always better to have new people in jiu-jitsu because, you know, the more that we can spread the art, right? And what is Kama Jiu-Jitsu's goal in doing these, right? And teaching our students and traveling and doing seminars, it's to spread our version of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu to as many people in the world as we can. We also have an online app as well. Find that at kamajujitsuonline.com, and you can sign up and you can see our curriculum and all that kind of stuff. And we have it in order, which is the order in which you want to learn jiu-jitsu. And yes, there is a specific order that you really want to learn jiu-jitsu. You can do it randomly, but you will be good if you do it randomly, but it's going to take you longer, and you're going to have to be able to figure stuff out, you know, like how one technique fits into the grand scheme of things versus another technique, right? If you learn it in order, you learn it via a good curriculum, then you will have a great understanding and you have it done very quickly. So number one, make your decision to join and just get off your ass and do it now. Number two is if you already do jiu-jitsu, whether you've already started, I want you to take charge of your learning. Now, what do I mean when I say take charge of your learning? If it's random, right? If you come in and today your professor teaches arm bars. Come in tomorrow, they teach choke from out. Come in the day after, they teach De La Hiva, right? None of that is related, right? Sure, it's all jiu-jitsu, but there's no way to tie them together, right? What they do is if you imagine a puzzle, imagine a jigsaw puzzle, then, and there's 1,000 pieces in there. Each of those pieces represents a technique, a concept, a sequence, whatever, right? And your instructor gives you a piece. Say, okay, here's one piece. And then tomorrow I'll give you another piece. And if you keep coming to class, then you'll get 1,000 pieces over the course of however long you're here. Well, sometimes you get that piece and you're like, what the hell is this thing, right? Where does it go? You have no idea, right? Whereas if you have a curriculum with a methodology, meaning curriculum is just all the concepts, the 1,000 concepts. The methodology is the order in which I give you the pieces to help you so that when I give you the piece, it automatically clicks into one of the previous pieces that you had. And what will happen is as you learn 1,000 concepts, they will all create this picture that was once a puzzle broken up into 1,000 pieces. Now imagine if you have an instructor who has neither a curriculum nor a methodology to teaching you his curriculum, then you're just going to get piece here, piece there, and you may get another piece 2, 3, 4 times, and you won't know that it's a duplicate piece, right? Unless you really sit and try to match it. And he may like giving one piece over and over and over again, but not giving the other pieces. Or worse yet, he won't know of the other pieces because he or she was taught an incomplete version of jiu-jitsu because their instructor didn't know it. So what's an example, Ryan? I'll give you one. Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, traditional Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, has 3 parts that are all the technical part, right? You have your self-defense curriculum, which almost nobody does anymore. You know, they call what they do BJJ, self-defense, but it's really not. It's a sport. That's number one. You know, for instance, what's an idea? What's an idea of it? You know, somebody picks you up from behind, picks you up off of the ground. How do you deal with that? Somebody, you know, if you're a female, grabs your hair. How do you deal with that? Somebody just grabs you, puts you in a headlock, and wrenches you to the ground. How do you deal with that, right? That's all part of the self-defense curriculum. If you don't have that, you're not going to learn it, which means that you won't be getting some of those 1,000 pieces. They just don't even exist. Okay, that's the first part. Second part is the grappling part, but it's grappling with the gi on. The third part is grappling without the gi on, i.e., no gi, right? So you have some people, all they do is BJJ with the gi on. So they don't do no-gi, and they don't do self-defense. So they really only have, one of 3 parts of the curriculum. And then you have these schools that do no-gi only. Okay, well, that's fun too, but there's no self-defense and there's no gi jiu-jitsu, right? As in, what if you get into a fight wearing a jacket, right? See, I'm walking wearing a jacket because it's 49 degrees right now, right? So for all these people who say, jiu-jitsu with the gi is bullshit because nobody walks around wearing a gi. Well, yeah, nobody walks around wearing a gi, but when it's cold, are you gonna walk around naked? No, you're gonna wear a jacket, right? Or maybe you will, maybe you won't. Some people don't wear them either, which, I'm a wimp when it comes to that. I get cold. But, during the summer, I'm not wearing a jacket. And during the winter, I am wearing a jacket, right? And the jacket functions just like a gi top, just like jeans function just like gi pants, right? Well, but I only walk around wearing spats. Well, number one, that's kind of gross, unless you're a girl, right? If you're a dude walking around with spats with no shorts over it, okay, yeah, a little too much information. But on the other hand, you're gonna wear jeans, and guess what? Most gi pants are made of denim, which are what jeans are made of, right? Or they could be made of the equivalent canvas or that ripstop material, which really doesn't stop rips, by the way, just letting you know. That's just a gimmick. So you need to learn all 3 to get all 1,000 pieces. Now, other schools may have 1,000 pieces that are all no gi, or 1,000 pieces that are all gi, or 1,000 pieces that are all self-defense. Well, that's fine, right? But it's still not complete. And our objective is to make sure that we're teaching the complete Rickson Gracie Jiu-Jitsu to our students. Now, if you're already training and you don't have a curriculum, you don't have a methodology, right? There's no path to doing Jiu-Jitsu, then you're gonna need to take charge of it and ask your instructor, hey, what do I need to work on next? And let them keep giving you assignments. And hopefully they have a curriculum in which they can say, okay, now I need you to work on this. Now I need you to work on this, right? Because maybe they just don't teach it that way. Maybe their teaching methodology is such that it's more random, but in their mind, they know everything. So if you ask them, okay, what am I not working on? What am I not doing very well? Well, Ryan, you need to work on this. Okay, done, right? Or, Ryan, you're working on everything that I've given you pretty well. Let me give you your next piece. Okay, great. And then you do it that way. That's taking charge of it. That's, prompting your professor and saying, what's next? What would you like me to work on now? And then work on it. And then once you have a great command of it, or he or she compliments on your ability to do what they just taught you, then say, okay, all right, coach, what's next? And they give it to you, right? What'll happen is, as you start to check more of those boxes, of your instructor's boxes, your instructor goes, okay, well, Ryan's ready for his blue belt. Well, guess what? Boom, blue belt. Or purple, brown, black, whatever you want, okay? It's the same for all belts. It doesn't matter. You don't need to do something different with a different belt. You just need to get better at what you do for the next belt. Now, there may be a few new concepts, but I can assure you most professors don't teach white belts only this, blue belts only this, purple belts only this. They teach everybody everything, right? And you have a class with white to black belts. Even among the white belts could be someone who's brand new, brand spanking new, first day in jiu-jitsu. And they're gonna learn same thing what the beginners, the intermediate, and the advanced people learn, right? So with that type of learning situation, how do you know where the pieces fit in? You kind of don't, right? So then at which point they say, well, if you keep coming to class, you'll start to learn everything. Well, I guess, but you'll get those 1,000 pieces, but there'll be no picture on it, right? How do you know where to put the pieces if you have no idea what it's supposed to look like? Because there's no picture on it, because it's cardboard on both sides, right? So that's kind of an issue. So if you simply just ask questions, be that squeaky wheel to your instructor. Don't be shy, ask, right? Even if there's something in class, hey, I'm not so sure about it. Hey, can I ask you about this? right? Last night in class, I had one woman who just asked about 5 or 6 different questions. And these are stuff that are probably, whether for sure they were on her mind, otherwise she wouldn't have asked. But they are usually on other people's minds as well. They're just too shy to ask, right? A lot of people are not really into being the one that gets attention. So they'd rather wait for someone else to ask, and then they'll say, yeah, I want to know that too, okay? So number one, if you're not a trainer, get on the mat, get in your studio, get started. Number two, if you are a trainer, take charge of your training, okay? Now, what happens if you're kind of on hang-ups? You're like, oh man, I can't seem to get this, I can't seem to get that. Then part of taking charge of what you do, which is the third one, is work on one concept at a time. Don't try to work on too many concepts, because if you do, you'll just get lost and confused. And I don't want you to go through that, because I went through that for a number of years. And my thinking was, man, you know, there's always these new concepts that are coming up, and I need to learn these things. But, you know, as soon as I learn it, there's 10 more that pop up. It's like, how the hell, right? Until I realized, you know, through training with Dave Kama, that a lot of the stuff that you learn is either unnecessary or it's something that leads back to a fundamental concept. And if you understand that fundamental concept, then you will be able to deal with any of these tertiary techniques. I say tertiary, just meaning related techniques that are not exactly the same, but they all base off of the same thing, right? What's an example? So, you know, I'm walking by a bunch of new houses here, right? And guess what? They're all different, right? These look like all custom homes, but they're all built on a foundation, right? If you look at the foundation of a house, it looks the same as any other house until the house gets built on it, right? So if you think of a sweep from guard, they're all sweeps, and sweeps have general characteristics that apply to all sweeps. So do you need to learn all the sweeps? No, you just need to learn the fundamental basic concepts that are in all sweeps, and then you can do the last foot, you know, of a 10-foot, you know, path. You can do the last foot, and that makes up for the difference of an individual sweep, right? So for instance, we use 3 versions of the scissor sweep. There's a couple versions of hook sweeps, right? But the fundamental concept for sweeps is that you need to be on your side, right? Number one, it's always guard, some kind of guard. And number two, you're pretty much on your side. If you're on your back, you're kind of dead in the water. So that's just a simple concept. So if you're always playing guard and you're thinking sweep, you always get to your side. If you always get to your side, the sweeps will always be there. But first you have to know to be on your side. If you didn't know that, then you'd be very poor at sweeping, right? So that's just another idea to help you take charge of your learning. And the last thing is, it's easy to be gung-ho in January. But what happens, and you know, health clubs know this, because health clubs, you know, they're always busy in January. In fact, their busiest day of the year is January 1st, because everybody's making their New Year's resolution, you know, because they all did crap stuff in December, right? And, you know, I'll talk to people, I say, hey, you know, I introduce myself thinking, you know, Ryan, I've always wanted to join Jiu-Jitsu. Well, why don't you do it? And let's say it's, you know, early November. And they'll say something like, well, you know, Thanksgiving's coming up, then Christmas and New Year's and the holidays and all that. I'll just wait till January. Well, I don't want to be morbid about it, but what if you get hit by a bus? Then you went through all that time saying this is something I want to do, but you never did it because you decided to put it off, right? I'm not one to put things off. I hate to put things off. So I try not to put anything off, and I just try to act and get my stuff done. So let's kind of use that as our starting point for the new year, 2024 in this case, right? If you haven't gone into a studio yet or an academy, go. If you have, take charge of your learning, right? Talk to your professor. You know, get them to realize that you're the squeaky wheel.